Welcome, Phil Eich. And what is the story?
We're jumping right in. My story, like a lot of stories, is long and winding.
Okay.
So the short and less winding version, used to be a middle school teacher in Bay City. Twin brother lost his job. He moved in with me to figure out what his next steps were going to be, and his next step was to start building guitars in a closet in my garage. He was formerly a guitar builder down in Virginia, and so started putting those skills to work for himself. And unknown to us, he was one of two people in the world at that time to build this specific kind of guitar by hand. And so his business exploded. I was looking for a way out of teaching. He needed somebody to help him start this business because he ended up with a 3 year long wait list, which is just a wild amount of time to wait for something that you bought. And so we moved to Saginaw. We were working in his basement, building up the business. Business was taking off. For him, I, however, got really poor and I went broke. And I needed a way to make some money. And there was really just a limited amount of things that I could do at that point. Like, because when you're broke, you can't just go back to school. Like, you can't just say, I'm going to enroll and get another degree, because now there's 4 years of your life and now you're going into debt. So you can't just do that. Um, there weren't really jobs that could dig myself out of that hole. Like, I couldn't just go and get another job and get another, sorry, Matt, low paying job. And so I had to really think about what is it I could do that somebody would pay me money for. And along with building the guitars for my brother, I was also running social media and taking pictures of the instruments and things like that. I had a little bit of a background in photography. And so I thought, well, if this is something that our small business needs, it must be something that other small businesses need too. And so that idea was kind of playing around in my head, but things got really, really heavy, and really through the stress, the anxiety of that experience, I developed debilitating social anxiety. I would go weeks at work without talking to anybody. Like the idea of making small talk with strangers was one of the most terrifying things. I remember my girlfriend, now wife at the time, she had sent me a text message saying that we had gotten invited to a wedding, and that was one of the scariest things for me, because a wedding meant going to a wedding reception, and a wedding reception meant talking to people I didn't know. And for months, I would sit at my workbench and just ruminate about all of the reasons and the excuses I could use to get out of going to this wedding reception. And after a couple months of that, I realized that this was not healthy, and this is not how quote normal people work. And so I was playing with this idea of starting this business. I needed a way to practice talking to strangers. And so after a few weeks of mustering up the courage, I grabbed my camera and I walked into Mr. Van's shoe repair in Old Town Saginaw, and I said, "Hi, my name's Phil Eich. I'm trying to start a business. I'll take photos for you for free for an hour, and you can use them however you want, as long as I get to use them for a portfolio." And the idea being that I could start this business, kind of creating a portfolio of work I could show people that potentially could pay me, but at the same time, I'd have practice talking to strangers. So I'd be there with my camera watching Garrett fix these shoes, and I'd say, like, what's a young guy like you starting a business like this? He's a 22-year-old guy at that point, like becoming a cobbler. What's up with that? What do you love about what you do? What does it take to repair a shoe? What have you learned? How has it changed? Like all of these things. So I was practicing asking people questions. And so I was discovering his story and the story of the businesses that followed, and really fascinating because I had driven by these businesses every day. And I had no idea about the people that were in there. And so I started posting the stories along with the photos that I was taking. That led to working with small businesses. Eventually, I had breakfast with a friend, and he had mentioned that the city of Saginaw was looking for a way to really tell its story on its own terms. And Saginaw is interesting because you can't just say, look at all of the great places we have to live, look at the 1,000 places downtown you have to eat, look at all of these other things, because Saginaw is a city with a lot of challenges. And so the idea became, well, how about we do what I'm doing for small businesses just at the city scale? So if the best thing that the city of Saginaw has to offer is its people, which are some of the most incredible people that you'll ever come across, why don't we just tell their stories in their own words every single day for the rest of forever? And that idea took off in Saginaw, that spun off into working with other communities, and really the birth of Storyville, which um, today I get paid to talk to strangers.
Right, after all of that.
Yeah. Do you feel, Luke, do you feel like this podcast helps you with that?
So that's a good question. When I first started this, I was a talk show host back then,
Yeah.
and I had been looking through my social media stuff on it. I could tell I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was very nervous, but as I got into it, I I learned how to bring the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you told me, like when I met, you said bring the energy
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what.
yeah.
It's a good idea.
Do you think
Yeah.
that this helps with confidence for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
How? Like, how do you just talking to people or?
So, I wanted to become one because I admire Lisa Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa's so great.
Yes. And she started with something called the Covenant Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be called the Covenantville Podcast, but they're slowly changing the name into the Covenant Podcast.
So Lisa and I have an interesting intersection because my business was starting around the same time she had just left her previous employer, and was also kind of start like trying to figure out like what is my business, and what is her niche and things like that. And so we had met a couple times,
Okay.
just like these little baby seeds of an idea. And so to see her in front of these big crowds and doing the podcast and thing, it's very cool. Hmm.
Way back then, I did interviews of people, and the person that helped me with it was Trisha Fimby.
Mm.
Lots of people
Uh,
giving you boosts.
yeah, and she mentioned me becoming a talk show host,
Mm.
and that's how Future One Connection started.
Yeah. I love what you said about like looking back at your earlier social media, your earlier work compared to now,
Yeah.
because I also did the same thing a few weeks ago. I was curious to see to see if I sounded different, or if I conducted interviews in a different way, because you don't really notice it as you go. You're just improving, or sometimes not improving on things.
Yeah.
And 100% it's the truth. Like having a good conversation, a good interview,
Okay.
it's 100% a skill. Like it's a skill and an art that you can improve over practice. The more you do it, the more you find your own voice, and the more things. Like honestly, I kind of look at it also as like game tape. Like you go into the podcast and you record the interview, and as I'm driving in the car, sometimes I'll listen to the interviews that I had done a few weeks earlier. Um, to be able to hear, like, I should have asked this question, or I should have followed up on this, or I lost track of what they were saying and I should have circled back because I missed a really important detail. It's one of the best things. And so I feel you listen back to your earlier stuff and you're like, why do I sound so tired? Or like in your case, exactly, like you hear the anxiety or the nervousness or the wheels turning about like what question do I ask, and am I gonna be charming, and like I need to sound witty and profound, and it's just everybody's got to chill out and just
Yeah.
yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah.
How did you become a podcaster?
How did you become, like, what was the transitional? What made you say, all right, this is it?
So I'm kind of turned off by the proliferation of podcasts because like I've got kind of an anti-establishment streak in me where like, I don't want to do what everybody's doing, and everybody has a podcast. That being said, the thing that really convinced me to go that route was I'm like the philosophy of the work that I do is really hearing people tell their own stories in their own words, and where written stories convey that in one way, podcasts present another element to me, where another opportunity where people get to do that in an even deeper way. So instead of just reading their words on a page, now they're hearing the voice, and they're hearing the personality. Conversations can also be a lot messier in a really good way than a written story can be. So when I publish a story, most of the time it's on social media. It has to be relatively short. I have to go through and do an hour or two worth of editing to smooth things out and delete the things that don't make sense, and because we read differently than we listen. Like we can have a really messy conversation where I can say, Luke, I really want to go back to that first question that you asked me 40 minutes ago. And it makes total sense. Written word, you can't do that. So the podcast as a medium presents a lot of really interesting things to me. And because you get to be messy, you get to have that kind of spontaneous interaction, which I really love. It reminds me of music and jazz, where like the three of us are here at a table and we kind of have an idea of where it's going. But we've had a few conversations previously about similar things, and this conversation is still very different than those other ones. And so it's that kind of improvisation I love, that kind of immediate gratification. I really like the experience of doing a podcast because it feels that way. Like when I'm doing sidewalk talks and I'm sitting on the street talking to a stranger that I don't really know, it really is an act of discovery for me too, and that's exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is when anyone that wants to be a podcaster, what could you say to those people, and what can they work on?
I love this question. I love this question. I'll go into a podcast with I do research on people before,
Okay.
and so I have kind of a body of information about them that tells me who they are and the different directions the questions can go.
Okay.
And I think like that is really important because it's really easy to fall in love with the idea of a podcast being you just show up with your friends and then you just talk about stuff.
Okay.
And where sometimes that works, a lot of times what happens is it falls into a 2.5 hour conversation about almost nothing of value because you're just kind of bantering off each other and you're circling back around and there's not really any form or nuance or value to it at all. And what you're really doing with a podcast is you're asking very busy people who have a million other things to do and ways to entertain themselves to take that 1 hour and say, listen to me instead. And so while that can work for some folks, like you get a group of comedians in the room,
Okay.
and like they can do that all day long. They're skilled and gifted in the art of that to make something out of nothing. Most of us other humans can't do that. So I think doing research on the specific person before can be really, really eye-opening, even if it's something as simple as just looking them up on Facebook and scrolling through their last couple months of posting. because you're going to find things out about their family. Like, oh, I hear that you have 2 kids. Tell me about your kids. A question that I wouldn't have known had I not looked Marlena up on social media and scrolled through, or I saw that you're starting a business, or things like that. If you go into an interview blind, it can be exciting, but you can also walk away missing a lot of important things. I also think that I'll give you one more. You need some kind of angle. You need some kind of shtick.
Okay.
In marketing, this is called positioning. So it's not enough just to make something that people want. You have to make something that people want in such a way that makes it attractive. And so that becomes even more important with the world of podcasting, because there's a billion podcasts out there. And as special as we want to view ourselves, very likely that there are a lot of podcasts out there just like ours, just a couple of dudes talking about stuff. And so what you really need is another layer that separates yourself from other podcasts similar to yours. I'll give you the example of Sidewalk Talks. Like I was doing a podcast for Saginaw called Spill the Beans for about a year or two prior to Sidewalk Talks.
Okay.
It was in the studio that I had built out, and it was a really great podcast, and it was really cool. And then I moved into a different studio, and I had this idea to build out this really snazzy place, and soundproof walls, and 3 different cameras, and lighting, and all of this other stuff. I was really going to make it look good. I had to wait months and months and months for this one part I needed to finish the studio, and it eventually got to the point where I just needed to start recording something. And so I took 2 lawn chairs, and I said, well, I'm just going to put these lawn chairs in different random places in the city, and I'm just going to talk to random folks, and we're going to call it Sidewalk Talks. And that was the angle that the podcast really needed. Something that Jennifer mentioned last time we had a conversation was she watched some of the episodes from the studio version of Sidewalk Talks compared to the on the street side, and it's missing something. It's missing that magic of just a couple of people sitting in their lawn chairs, hanging out in the city, and so you really need a shtick. Hot Ones is a very popular one. Here's a person interviewing famous people. It's a format that you see in a lot of different podcasts. The angle, however, is that the famous person eats progressively hotter wings as they go, and so the interview becomes more and more difficult. And so you're hearing their story, but at the same time you're watching people in physical pain eating hot wings, and so that's what makes it interesting. So
Yeah, I have.
yeah, and so that's always where my wheels are turning, and even with Sidewalk Talks too, thinking about like, well, what is this? How can we take this further? Another great example of an angle is Subway Takes. Kareem is a comedian, and he interviews people on the subway in New York City. They're very, very short. But it's somebody just giving their hot take about something. Why suspenders are better than belts. Just like these really random or even more contentious, like politically or whatever it is. But the whole angle is 2 people on a subway, a very short conversation, and they get right to something that is controversial or poignant or profound or something like that. And so that's the angle. It's not sit down for 2.5 hours and have this deep conversation. It's, can we talk about something important from stop A to stop B on the subway? So I'd say do your research, have an angle.
There's a lot of stuff I have to work on.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you and me both, man. Like, yeah, I just want to. Can I speak to that? Because I want to kind of push back on this, on the impression that like I know what I'm doing,
Okay.
because I don't really, and I don't really know what I'm doing, and the me 5 years from now is gonna look back at this conversation, be like, Phil, like you thought you knew it all, but you had so much more to go. Like you had so much more to learn, and like the art of a conversation. Like right now, like I'm already evaluating how this conversation is going. Like
Okay.
Phil, you're talking too much. Phil, you got to calm down a little bit. And so it's just it's the process everybody goes through. Always improving, always evaluating, but also remembering to enjoy the process along the way.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because my impression of you now that we're friends and now that we've had many conversations is like you're a good you're a good dude who wants to do a good job.
Thank you.
And those two ingredients are very important, and those two ingredients will really dictate your success in all of this. And because to me, in my experience, like if you are a good human doing good hard work, you're going to be rewarded in some way. It might be the podcast getting huge. It might be the podcast being small, but you have a really critical connections locally that leads you to some form of employment, or now you're making money doing this, or something like that. The downside of that, though, is that we can end up really in our head about stuff
Okay.
because now instead of enjoying the conversation and really like going with the flow, now we're thinking like, what do I have to do better, or this wasn't any good, or I have to do more and I have to do more, and then you wake up after a couple years and you kind of burned out from it because you forgot to have fun. So yeah, you're a good dude doing good work, and we both have to remember to keep having fun.
Yes. What is Storyville?
What specifically?
So Storyville, with Storyville, I do story-based and human-centered marketing for cities.
Okay.
And so instead of going into a city and saying, here's the photos of all the fancy places you can live or the places you can eat or kind of the assets of a community, the physical assets of a community, Storyville, I go into communities and I talk to the people who make the community what it is. And then through those stories, you communicate a quality of life, a sense of place, a feeling of the community, while also uplifting people. So rather than communities are places where you can buy stuff, communities are places where you can feel like you're a part of something. And so that's what Storyville does. And so I go in and I do photos, I do videos, podcasts, all sorts of different mediums, written stories, and then tell those stories to the world.
So what is Sidewalk Talks?
So Sidewalk Talks, it's a Riverfront Saginaw podcast. So we are about to go into season 4. Just recorded a bunch of episodes, and I just meet random folks in random places throughout the city. We set up a couple lawn chairs. It looks very casual, but it's a bit of a production. Originally the idea was to keep it very low production, low budget, just me, them, 2 chairs, and a camera. But the idea really took off, and then also just as a safety measure, like technical things can always happen. You forget to hit record because you're too busy thinking about the interview, or that camera runs out of batteries and you couldn't see it because you're running the interview. So now I hire a camera guy, and he runs the 3 cameras and monitors the audio. So that I can just run the interview, and then I know somebody's got eyes on it all the time. But that's what Sidewalk Talks is. So if you want to listen to it, if folks want to listen to it, it's on Riverfront Saginaw on Facebook. If you type in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Sidewalk Talks, that'll take you to it too.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm again kind of the story of my life is not really having a good idea, but doing something out of desperation. Like Sidewalk Talks was not like, oh, this is going to be such a fun idea and it's going to be so cool. Just like it was literally, I just had some chairs and I'm just going to set it out and start doing this because people are paying me and they need to have some kind of product for it. Storyville, same thing. Like I can't talk to strangers and I need some money. So I'm just going to go into these random businesses and talk to people. And so it's while I am a fan of people pursuing their passions, I think that we can sometimes put too much of an emphasis on that and instead look at like, well, what is your obstacle? Like, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And how are you solving that? And then maybe that is something of value to the world. Like social anxiety, like podcasting to me, these interviews to me are a form of practice because that social anxiety will never go away. Like I won't wake up one day and say, man, I really enjoy talking to a million people at parties. Like I really love, like that's not how I'm wired. And so I have to keep practicing it. But yeah, I think in your case too, like how your podcast came up, like one of the things you want to do is practice talking to people. And then something we've talked about before is networking with folks, and here's a vehicle to do it. So
Absolutely.
you're crushing it.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. So what is Riverfront Saginaw?
So I didn't know what Riverfront Saginaw was in 2019 when this was started. I had met a friend of mine, Wayne Hoffman, for breakfast, and he had said, "Did you see Riverfront Saginaw was looking for some help?" And I had to ask him what it was, and that breakfast really changed my life. Riverfront Saginaw is a group of uh, volunteers from different organizations in the community that got together one day and said, there's a very negative uh, story being told about Saginaw, and we need a way to combat that. And to their credit, it's not, let's not focus on the challenges of Saginaw, because sometimes communities can do that. Like, well, let's ignore all of the problems that we have and just tell people about the good stuff. And that's not really their motto. But the kind of negative narrative of Saginaw had gotten so far out of control. They said, like, we have to do something as a community to put our own story out there. And so they needed some help. I had kind of I had I was a year or two into this work with small businesses, and I had kind of thought like, okay, this could work. And to their credit, I had no idea what I was doing. Like I didn't have a portfolio of 10 different cities that I had worked with and stats and analytics and like here's proof that I know what I'm doing. It was literally, and I remember I had met with Mike Hanley for coffee once, and he really liked the idea. And he said, "Well, you come talk to our board." And I went to the Saginaw Community Foundation with this whole like pitch deck, and there's 17 people around this big oval table. And I pretty much had to tell them like I don't know what I'm doing, but I have this idea that I think could work. And they had no reason to hire me. Like zero. What they did have, however, was faith in Saginaw and the people in it, and trust and hope in this idea. And had they not said yes to this idea, like I would not be here today. I have no idea what I would be doing because Riverfront Saginaw really came in at a time when I needed I needed a way to expand the work I was doing. I mean, if you think about it, end of 2019 is when I started in November. 2020 was COVID.
Sure.
And so immediately all of the small businesses that I was working with at the time literally shut down. And I had like 4 phone calls over the course of a day where they would said, Phil, like we love what you're doing, but we have no idea when we're going to be open again, so we can't pay you. And so Riverfront Saginaw and my work with Saginaw was really the thing that financially kept me going and still in the work, because otherwise it would have been, hands up, I quit. Because you had no idea, like, are the businesses going to open in 2 weeks and now I can jump back into those contracts? Are they going to go out of business permanently? Is it going to be 2 years? I have no idea. And so, yeah, Riverfront Saginaw really saved my professional life.
Wow.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And a start to like solid start to advertising positive.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, and advertising positively for Saginaw, but also like I want to say too, because sometimes the word positive kind of it makes me, I don't want to say makes me cringe, but like I'm skeptical of that word sometimes because unfortunately communities will use positive and positivity as a way to ignore criticism. And they'll kind of like, well, why can't we just be more positive about things? Well, like when half of your when half of your population is living in poverty, like we got to be honest about what it is. And so what I want to say, what I sometimes use instead of positive is the truth. In that, like Saginaw, for instance, it's a community with a lot of challenges. At the same time, it's also a community with some of the most incredible people that you'll ever meet anywhere. And I've met thousands of people all across the country, and there's still something about the people in Saginaw that say, yeah, there's something here, and there's something about these people, and there's something about this community. And so to me, I look at the work as um, like telling more of the truth, balancing the narrative. Like you hop on Facebook and everybody wants to talk about everything that's terrible and whatnot. And what this work does, it helps balance it like a teeter-totter and say, yeah, we do have to talk about those negative things, but also we have to take moments to really hold up the people that are sacrificing so much and starting their businesses and have taught generations of kids and spent 100 years of their life here. And whatever it is, we also have to honor them and their story by taking a moment, doing an interview, taking their photo, and then pushing that story out into the world.
So, what are your favorite things about Saginaw?
A favorite.
I
You said the people.
the people are awesome. I mean, it always comes down to the people for me. I'll put the 2 blocks of food that you can get in Old Town Saginaw against any 2 blocks that I've in any community I've visited. Like the food that's available there compared to the size of the community, is really incredible. Like you can get everything from Vietnamese food to legitimate New York style pizza, um, to the sandwiches at Fralia's, to soon to be, fried chicken and hot dogs, to like Lonnie at Artisan Urban Bistro. I'm missing some folks, but literally you can walk those 2 blocks in
Yeah, you sure can.
5 minutes and just have a really, really incredible food experience. And I think that's something that is a testament to those people, but also a testament to the community, because there's no reason why you should have that good of a food in that size of a neighborhood, but we do. So I love the food. Food.
I love food too as
Yeah.
well.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite is definitely pizza,
Yeah.
but my favorite restaurant is McDonald's.
You like McDonald's? What's your order at McDonald's?
For breakfast, I like the hash browns.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
See, I'll eat McDonald's hash browns. I don't eat McDonald's because I got really bad food poisoning from their breakfast sausage once, and to this day I just even now just thinking about their sausage, it's like danger sounds in my head going off. But I like a good hash brown. I'll eat a good hash brown.
So I have a big question for you.
Please,
So
I'm ready.
what is the spirit of Saginaw?
Question. He typed this before you got here, and I'm curious.
You mean spirit like the personality of Saginaw? Is that what you mean?
Like the whole community of Saginaw.
I think yeah.
So
The spirit.
Take your time.
at one time, the richest man in America had his second home in Saginaw.
Okay.
Saginaw was exploding because Saginaw was covered in trees. And so the lumber industry just set Saginaw on the path to be the Chicago of the North. I mean,
Wow.
the trees of Saginaw actually built Chicago. That's how big of a deal Saginaw was. They would send the timber down the river and haul it into Chicago and build Chicago with the trees. And so, like, if you were rich in America, you had a home in Saginaw. Well, then the lumber industry collapsed, and because all the trees were gone. And so now the community has nothing. Well, then another industry came in. I believe it was some kind of form of farming. I could be mistaken on that. But then the auto industry came in, and GM had a plant there, a couple plants there. Malleable Iron Factory pulled a lot of the black population from the South and moved them to Saginaw. And, it was kind of the resurgence of Saginaw because now we're humming with industry and cars are taking off. Everybody needs cars. And so everybody needs Saginaw. Well, then one day GM said, peace, and closed that entire factory. And like that was the major employer for so many of the families in Saginaw. At the same time, the suburbs in not just Saginaw but around the United States, that was really taking off. This idea that people don't want to live in cities, they want to live away from everyone, and so let's expand the suburbs, and we'll create these things called malls, which are like replications of downtowns. And so you had really this catastrophic combination of really bad things happening: a loss of a major employer, a major industry. At the same time, the soul of the community was getting sucked out to the suburbs. 675 was built, and so it split downtown from the north side, which also has just really dramatic economic effects. And so the bottom falls out of the community again. And while that has very significant negative effects that are have been and will continue to be very difficult to overcome, it has also along the way created a kind of person that lives in Saginaw who is willing to try to make something out of nothing. That despite against all odds, they're going to try it anyway. The person who has no formal training in music is going to hack away on their laptop, on their computer in their basement, set up a kind of a ragtag recording studio and try to make it as a rapper. They're going to try to start a baking business. They're going to try this. They're going to try this. They're going to try this. So in the face of really immense challenges, people in Saginaw are still willing to fight. And that to me is really the spirit of Saginaw, because we don't have to get into this tangent of the history of the word Sagnasty, but a lot of times the word is used as a very derogatory way to describe Saginaw. And you go to California and you tell somebody you're from Saginaw and they'll say, oh, Sagnasty. Like they know the word, like all across the country. And so when it feels like it's not just the community against itself in a lot of ways regarding like housing and economics and things like that, but when it feels like the rest of the world has already counted you out, like, oh, you're from Sagnasty, it you can either choose to give up or you can choose to keep fighting, and the people in Saginaw keep fighting. And I would say that is the spirit of Saginaw. It's people willing to keep fighting and people intensely passionate about their community and each other. Because like, what do you have to be proud of when at one time like your downtown is vacant and like all of your like buildings that would make any city in the state of Michigan jealous have been bulldozed to the ground. Like you can't say like we're so proud of our downtown. Like we're so proud of our business community. We're so proud of, we're so proud like the physical stuff. What you have left is to be proud of each other. And I think that's the spirit of Saginaw.
I can tell the people of Saginaw are struggling with the community and wanting to live there and have fun there and do fun things there. But I will never see that of them.
Yeah. Definitely.
I know it's not nice and bad and terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, one of the things that I've learned with Storyville is that community struggle is the same in every community wherever you go, regardless of where they're at. So I'll give you an example of a community on the west coast of the state that I was working with.
Okay.
And you walk downtown and it gorgeous downtown. They're like feet away from the lake. It's like shoulder to shoulder with people during the summer, but not in a gross kind of touristy way. Sorry, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but I'm looking at you. But in like this small town that somehow hit it big and it's exploding in growth. They were talking to me about like 6 different housing developments that were all happening that summer and all these other things, and just like everything that every small community would want to be in this. And they were still so fractured, fighting over like this district versus this district. Like, well, here's the downtown versus the old town, and they're not really getting along. And what do we close the streets during the summer? Don't we? And some business owners like this is the worst idea that you've ever come up with, and other business, and this is the best thing. And so the challenge of a community is always there, and regardless of what they've accomplished or what it is. Like you go to like Grand Rapids is hugely fast, one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing area in Michigan. And they're constantly fighting at each other over there. And you think, man, you guys got everything. Like, look at your downtown. You got world famous people coming to perform here. You got everything that you ever want. And so like we're never immune to that. It's just a matter of like where you're at. We're always going to find something to fight about. Yeah.
How many people in Saginaw that you interviewed
How many have you interviewed?
in Saginaw?
Have a number? Guesstimate?
I'm gonna say there probably 1,000. I've probably yeah, yeah, in these 6 years of Storyville, I've probably interviewed close to 4,000 folks.
Congratulations.
It's a lot of talking.
Thanks.
It's a lot of talking. Like when I'm going to South Carolina in 2 weeks for 3 days, and every day I'll be interviewing about 12 people a day, and so yeah, so it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of people. It's interesting. It's interesting, but it's a lot of people. Yeah, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are there any local podcasters that you follow?
I think we talked about Logan Rachetti with Talk Midland, and I listened to him and watch him because I usually watch on Facebook. And something that I really respect about Logan is his consistency. Like you can always count on him to have a new episode every week, and he's been doing it for I think a couple years. And that tends to be the real challenge with podcasting is, you fall in love with this idea of having a podcast. Oh, this is gonna be so much fun. We're gonna sit down and talk, and then you find out like it's like anything work. There's some really great things about it, but then there's also a lot of things about it that are very difficult. Like a lot of us want to sit down and talk. We don't necessarily want to do the marketing side and the promotion side. Like we just want to do the conversation, the fun part. And so you fall off a bit, and then the consistency becomes hard because it is more work and more time than you intended. So I really respect Logan for his consistency. Like he's just pushing on an episode. He's willing getting in the nitty gritty conversations. Like there are a couple situations here in Midland a few weeks ago that he was willing to dive into and say, let's talk about this. And that's brave because that can, unfortunately, the internet can like backfire on you in a lot of ways. So yeah, I dig Logan and what he's doing.
So, what's his podcast called?
Talk Midland.
Talk Midland?
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, you should look it up.
So we had so much fun with this podcast interview. So we have a game to play.
Ooh.
It's called Cinema Lightning Round. And the first question is, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
I love the movie Almost Famous. It's about this kid that weasels his way into writing an article for the Rolling Stone magazine. Um, Back in kind of the heyday of the 60s and 70s, and he ends up going on tour with this band that is now becoming huge, and his article is kind of charting the journey of this band, and it's all about this kid journalist that gets into trouble and is kind of exposed to the world for the first time and navigating personal relationships and journalism and I like telling the truth and all of these things. And it is such a perfect movie. I am not a big movie watcher, and I never watch a movie more than once.
Wow.
But Almost Famous I've watched countless times because it is just so good. And it's good as a movie, and it's also loosely based on the director's life, Cameron Crowe. Um, because he started off as like a kid music journalist. And so that's kind of interesting. And they really touch on the vibe of the 60s and 70s. The music is great. It's just awesome. It's just Almost Famous. You should watch it. It's great.
I'll look it up. Um, Lesson number 2. If you had a theme song in the story of your life, what would it be?
A theme song. Oh, that's so hard. Um, this is gonna sound unnecessarily deprecating, but like my life is kind of like a mess. Like it's kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff. So it's really hard to like narrow down. Like if there's a song about like calming down, like like maybe I could use that as some advice. I really like Under Pressure by Queen. Maybe that's the one. Because I kind of feel like under pressure. Like everything, like running a small business and working, especially a small business where you're not like making a thing, but you're interacting with people. There's another layer of pressure there and communities. So maybe Under Pressure. We'll go with that. Yeah, do you?
So I have lots of favorite songs, but sometimes I feel under pressure too.
No.
Okay.
So I like that song a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So question number 3. If it could be a movie character, who would it be and why?
A movie character?
Yeah.
Um, I don't like right now what's coming to my head and probably because we just talked about it like I would really love to be that kid in Almost Famous because like one of the regrets that I have about where I'm at now is that I didn't start doing it earlier. And I think about like I used to be a musician and like one of the things that really the central ideas in music is like the earlier you start, the better. The longer you do it, the better you'll become. The more often you do it, the faster you'll improve. And so it's really like an idea of time. Like if you work hard for 3 years, yeah, you'll get someplace. But if you work hard for 30 years, like imagine what you could do. And so one of the regrets in this work is I didn't start Storyville until I was 36, 37, which is ancient in the world of like starting something new. Like I wasn't even pivoting from like, oh, I used to be a journalist and now I'm doing journalism in just like a different journalistic way. Like I was building guitars. Um, and so the idea of starting as a kid interested in something and then pursuing that, like having another 20 years is
Wow.
yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah, if I could trade spots with him and get a little head start at 11, like writing and being a writer, that'd be dope.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we go, where can we find more information?
So I mean, I'll just direct folks to Sidewalk Talks because we kind of talked about that. You go Riverfront Saginaw on Facebook, or Instagram. Also on YouTube, you can type in Sidewalk Talks and find us there. But then wherever you listen to podcasts, so Spotify, Apple, those are the two big ones. Just type in Sidewalk Talks, and you'll see a little profile picture that says Sidewalk Talks Saginaw, and that's us.
Well, thank you for coming, Phil Eich. I had so much fun interviewing you for this podcast. And that was Phil Eich talking about Riverfront Saginaw, Storyville, and Sidewalk Talks. My name is Luke Drumray, the host of 3, 2, 1. What's your story? Where everybody has a story. Sign off. Bye.
Crushed it. Well done.